about that for an exciting piece? I find it positively goose-fleshy. And a lot of the excitement in it comes from the fact that it uses those strange scales or modes which are neither major nor minor. For instance, right at the beginning appears that swirling dance tune, which sounds at first as though it's in the usual minor mode. In fact, the first 5 notes of it are exactly the first 5 notes of the minor scale. But then comes the twist. These notes don't belong to any minor scale that we know. And what scale is this? Answer, it's the scale of the Dorian mode. Now, don't let that throw you. Keep calm, sit back, and let's quietly find out just what this Dorian mode is and why it sounds so special. The word Dorian obviously comes from the Greek, and in fact, as well as all the other modes we're about to discover, does come originally from the music of ancient Greece. We don't know too much about that old Greek music. What we do know is that the Greek modes eventually made their way to Rome and were taken up by the Roman Catholic Church during the Middle Ages in a somewhat different form. But the Church kept the old Greek names for the modes: Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, and Ionian. Now, there's a mouthful for you, I know, but they're much easier to understand than their names are to pronounce. And they are still used today in Catholic churches all over the world in those beautiful chants called plain song. Here's a tiny example of plain song in the Dorian mode. Isn't that beautiful? And I bet you didn't know they could sing too, did you? You've just witnessed the debut of a great new glee club. Anyway, that music is in the Dorian mode. It uses exactly the same scale, the same arrangement of intervals as Debussy used in his Fête. But what is this scale? Well, that's easy. To find the Dorian mode on your piano, all you have to do is start on the note D and play only white notes all the way up to the next D. And you've got it. Simple. And that's true of all the other church modes as well, by the way. They're all to be found by starting on a given white note and making a scale up using white notes only. Isn't that lucky? And we're particularly lucky with the Dorian mode because it starts on D, and D is the first letter of the word Dorian. So you have no excuse for forgetting how to find this mode on your piano. Dorian, capital D, note D, white notes all the way up, and voila. Now, here's another piece in the Dorian mode. I wonder if you know this one. Every time I think that I'm the only one who's lonely, someone calls on me. And every now and then I spend my time with rhyme and verse and curse the fault in me. And then along comes Mary. Along comes Mary in the ancient and honorable Dorian mode. The same mode we just heard in Debussy and in the plain chant. Now, who'd have thunk it? What is that old Greek mode doing in today's pop music? Well, I'll tell you. From about the time of Bach until the beginning of our own century, roughly 200 years, our Western music has been based almost exclusively on only 2 modes, the major and the minor. Now, I can't go into the whys and wherefores of it now, but it's true. And since most of the music we hear in concerts today was written during that 200-year period, we get to think that major and minor modes are all there are. But the history of music is much longer than a mere 200 years. There was an awful lot of music sung and played before Bach, using all kinds of other modes. And in the music of our own century, when composers have gotten tired of being stuck with major and minor all the time, there's been a big revival of those old pre-Bach modes. And that's why Debussy used them so much, and other modern composers like Hindemith and Stravinsky and almost all the young songwriters of today's exciting pop music scene. The modes have provided them with a fresh sound, a relief from the old overused major and minor. For instance, if that swinging opening of Along Comes Mary had been written in the usual everyday minor mode, it would sound like this. Sort of square, isn't it? Ordinary. But this has a kick in it, and that kick is Dorian. You can see that this Dorian mode is almost like an ordinary minor mode, but not quite. And that not quite is what makes the difference. And that difference gives the music a certain ancient, primitive, oriental feeling. That's why the plain chant we heard before is so stirring, so ancient as to seem timeless. And that's why the tune in Debussy's Fête seems so exotic and of another age. And that's why Along Comes Mary sounds so primitive and earthy. Now, by way of contrast, listen to this opening section of Sibelius' Sixth Symphony, which is also in the Dorian mode, and see if you can feel again that same timeless, brooding, ancient, far-off quality, only this time coming from the remote, lonely forests of Finland.